Welcome to the first member interview of the Online Women's Development Network. We're calling these interviews What Women Want because they're aimed at women and trying to provide you with exactly what you want from our interviews. The first member that we're interviewing today is Janet Brown. She is a women's business coach and she's works under the name of Grace for Life. My name is Amanda Elias and I manage the network. Welcome, Janet.
Thanks for having me, Amanda.
You're welcome. I wanted to first ask you, what was your inspiration for starting up in business?
Oh, okay. That is, it's a story within itself. As I suppose many people have a journey.
Mm-hmm.
I've always worked, and I've always worked with people. I've worked in hostels, I've worked with people who've been street homeless, etc. So I've always had that passion for people. And I've done it in different ways. I've had permanent jobs, contractual jobs, temping jobs, just trying to get that lifestyle, if you see what I mean, around
Mm-hmm.
working. But a couple of years back, I was on a contract working for a charity organisation, helping people who have mental health problems to go into employment or voluntary work or education. I knew it was just a contract, but I thought at the end maybe something else would come up. But in doing that, things were changing for me, and changing in the way that we worked with people who were very vulnerable. In that, it was all about funding, how charities were funded, and how you got people into something to then get that tick.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed the dynamics in a sense. Not that I personally wanted to change it, but it changes the way you work as a person and the way you want to work and the way organisations now have had this funding regime and they've got to get X amount of people doing that, otherwise they won't get that funding, that could lose you your job, and etc. etc. So it just goes into all these stresses in fact sometimes. And I wasn't enjoying it as much. And I didn't know what the next move would be, because obviously, like everybody, you be in that job so you can financially secure yourself and help yourself. So while there, I was looking into coaching. Didn't know much about it, but decided to have a look at it. Had a look at different places that do it. Asked a friend a little bit about it because she's was kind of familiar with it. And then I saw an organisation which had a 2-day free event, and I thought, well, okay, that will give you a little bit more about what they do. So went along to that. Really liked it because it was very different, that empowering side of it, and learning something new as well. I think got a bit excited as you kind of doing things where it's not as exciting and becomes mundane, you get bored and burnt out. So decided to take the course some months after that. So I was doing the course and working. My contract came to an end. I had been looking for stuff but really didn't really connect, and now I look at it, it's not where I wanted to be. And many a times before it's not where I wanted to be, but you go on to the next thing, or you try to find something a little more dynamic, and and obviously I think there was two things going on. You want to take a challenge, and sometimes you don't because of all the stuff you have in your head that no, maybe don't do that, don't push yourself, or whatever. So all that was the comfort zone, as it were. So came to an end of a job and didn't have another job to go to. Was looking around but didn't really see anything really catchy. And then was unemployed for a while, and then saw a scheme that the government does that when you are unemployed they can help you if you've got business idea, just very basic stuff, basic allowance, and I went on that.
Okay.
So that's how that all connected up really. So it wasn't as if I walked out and went into business, and probably if it did happen that way I probably wouldn't have. Maybe I would have worked full time and then but that's the way it happened.
So you mentioned that it sounded like you were saying that the value that you placed in the job before was starting to go. Am I right? You said that they were focusing more on funding.
Yeah, it was fun. Because you don't want to change as a person as when I see the clients that I see. I want to work with them in that same holistic way. I don't want to just be talking about one particular thing if you're not feeling all right. That's the way we worked.
So do you feel that you brought that value into your business now? That you're now
of course,
using that
of
value?
course, valuing
Mhm.
people, because when you're working with people, people come as a whole. They don't come with just one issue. And even if you look at one issue, it goes back to something else and triggers something else down the line. So it's all connected.
I'm going to ask you to explain a little bit more about what a Women in Business coach does, because you said you bring those values now and you can focus more on the individual. It's more of a holistic approach, which is brilliant. But I think that most people might be a little bit like I was, where I wasn't too sure what a coach did, although I'd heard of the term before. So if you could just tell us a little bit more about exactly what you do.
Yeah, probably about coaching in itself. I mean, you have different niches, but coaching in itself is empowering people to bring the best out of them. And to quickly describe it, that would mean the coach actually using techniques that are learned to bring that from you. So it's non-advisory, it doesn't advise you. It doesn't say go and do this or go and do that in what sometimes we're used to. You know, we have somebody who will say, oh yeah, I think this is a good idea or that. So it's about you bringing the answers, because it's believing in yourself that they're there. They just need to be brought to the forefront. And that's the empowering thing. You're setting the pace that you want to go. So you're setting the goal that you want to work on. You're setting where you want to go, the reasons you want to get to that place. And also sometimes some of the stuckness that you might feel or the challenge that you might feel. And that can be a two-way thing. A challenge can be good in one way and it can be quite fearful. So that's what the coach kind of helps you with in bringing that in, instead of running away, or, you know, you're actually there looking through it yourself. And you're looking at what it is and you're feeling it, you're facing it, and there's nothing wrong with even feeling fearful, but you're still going through with it because you've got an ultimate of what you want to see at the end. And that's why sometimes when we look at New Year's resolutions, why they don't work, because people don't really have a kind of structure of how they're going to do what they say they want to do. They just say it and think saying it will be okay, but what about the days where you've said yes, you're going to go to the gym 3 times a week, and when it's raining and cold and you don't feel like going anymore, what happens then? Who's going to help you? You know, what strategies have you put in place? Why do you want to actually go and get that goal that you want to get for? Because it's very important that you claim what you want and not someone else.
Yeah, I must admit, you did the complimentary session with me, and that was the questionnaire that you sent first was my first understanding of what the chat might be about, where you asked for my goals and etc. etc. And then we spoke. And it was a very enlightening session. I think that a lot of people probably think that coaching is a bit more touchy-feely, but in fact it's just you getting somebody to accept that if they have a goal, they tell you what the goal is and exactly how they're going to get there, and reminding them. I found that you were asking me questions that made me remember, well, in fact, to be able to get to point A, there's 1, 2 and 3 that I need to do first. And it sounds simple, and it does sound like the sort of chat that you would just have with a friend, but in fact it was a little bit more than that, because sometimes a friend doesn't remember to tell you you need to do 1, 2 and 3 first to be able to get to A. Your friend is going to tell you do the goal and you'll be fine. You know,
so
it was
it's
good.
Understanding what's going on for you as well, because even the reasons why you're setting it, what is it you want to get from it, what will you do when you've accomplished that, how will you reward yourself, you know, all of those things. So it's really kind of getting in touch with yourself, and not just spouting what you're saying, but really feeling it from the inner you.
What I didn't say was that, Janet, you actually also do articles. So you've written a few health and well-being articles for the Women's Development Network, and you do it for other sites as well. So you're doing quite a few things at once.
Yeah, because it's always it's always nice to show your skills, and it's also nice to touch people in different ways. You know, some people may be visual, some people may want to read, etc., etc. So it's really nice reaching out to people in different ways, and the way we communicate is very different.
Well, my question then would be, we all have challenges. You've mentioned the challenges, and you're supporting other people to achieve their challenges. What challenges did you face and are you facing in running your business, and how are you managing those?
Okay, I think it's an ongoing thing. It's just changing the thinking of being an employee to being a business person. And I don't think that's an overnight thing. I don't think I'm the only one that has that. And that's just that being patient with oneself, knowing that you can't do everything, but there are different ways of doing things. So it might be asking someone to support you, it might be asking someone to actually do a particular piece of work. It's not about you taking on everything, and it's about you being ready to learn while you're going through. Yes, it's good to learn stuff before you start, but the big experience is always going to be when you're actually doing as well. So all the stuff that you learn before, I'm not saying just run in and don't know nothing. It's always good to go to courses, to be on courses and do as many things as you can to know about business outcome. But a lot of the stuff is knowing is yourself.
Yeah.
Those challenges when someone rings you and say, yes, you know, this contract's going to come up, and you sort of think, no, yeah, they're going to, oh, it's gone, and you know, it's just all of that, you know. And do you know what you're doing? You know, it's just that head start. So those are the things that sometimes I find challenging. But it's just doing that self-coaching sometimes, talking to somebody that's supporting you, who's been there before, reading positive stuff, and it's just all of that. And yes, sometimes we do have the hearing aids. It's just normal.